Hola, buenos dias, bienvenidos a todos mis grammar geeks. Welcome to the Spanish channel and Grammar Checkpoint 5, where today we're going to be consolidating our knowledge all about the present tense with a focus on regular verbs. Today's grammar checkpoint assumes that you've already completed lesson 9 of theme 1 about the present tense. Otherwise, you might want to go and check that out now. Otherwise, let's go. Vamos. So, just to recap, for me there are primarily 4 steps when we are going about forming the present tense in Spanish. The first step is to choose our pronoun, and by pronouns I mean the words I, you, he, she, usted, the formal way of saying you, we, all of you, so you plural, and they. So basically, who's going to be doing the talking? Choose your correct pronoun for step 1. Step 2, we need our appropriate infinitive verb. So what verb are we going to be working with? It might be hablar, for example, to talk. Step 3, we're going to remove the ending, the last 2 letters of the infinitive verb that we've chosen, whether that's hablar, comer, vivir, and so on. So we're going to take away the AR, ER, or the IR. And once we've removed the ending, that leaves us with our stem, habla. So hablar becomes habl, comer becomes com, and at that stage we're ready for step 4, where we're going to conjugate the verb. We're going to change the verb by adding the appropriate letters, which you will find in the grid above. So for an AR verb, for example, hablar, to talk, if I wanted to say I talk, I'm going to remove the ending, and then I'm going to add the O, hablo, I talk, hablas, you talk, habla, he, she, or you formal talks. Hablamos, we talk. Habláis, you all talk, all of you talk. And finally, hablan, they talk. Do exactly the same with ER and IR verbs, just taking into account that the letters are slightly different. They do tend to represent the fact that an ER verb, your endings are generally going to start with the E, and an IR verb, a bit of a mixture actually, but you do have the imos and is to reflect that it's an IR verb. So you do need to check your columns carefully before you start conjugating. Y conjugamos, let's conjugate. So your task, I want you to write these structures in Spanish for me, please. Now an example, number 1, I live. How would we go about doing that? Well, we are going to start with our pronoun, yo. Don't have to necessarily use them actually in Spanish, that's why it's in brackets. Next step, we've got our infinitive verb, vivir, yeah. We're going to take away the ending, that's step 3, and then we're going to add the correct letter for the I form. It's an IR verb, so I'm all the way over here, look. Vivo, I live. Could you have a go at doing the other 17 for me? Come back to you shortly, okay? Adios. Y listos en 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Here are your answers. So have a look through, double check. If you've made a mistake, just go back to the correct column and see where you've made that mistake for me. Before we finish today, I just wanted to go over with you one irregular verb, a very common irregular verb in Spanish, which is tener, to have. Now, it's called an irregular verb because it doesn't necessarily follow the pattern we've just learned and used to a T, although there are many similarities. So for example, in English we say I have, you have, he or she has. We don't say haves, okay? And it's just something you've got to learn. So, tener, to have. We've got our pronouns here in order, but the conjugation of the verb in the present tense is out of order. So how would you go about saying I have, you have, he, she has, and so on? Okay, come back to you shortly. Right, and let's see how you've got on. And can I just say thank you to those of you who messaged me to say, oh, you've made a spelling mistake or a typo, or you've left an accent off something. I've left accents off here. So 2 ladies in particular, hello to Angela and Mel, who religiously will tell me if I've made a mistake, and I do appreciate it. So let's see how you've got on. There are the accents in the correct place. Okay, here we go. So I have, tengo, you have, tienes, he, she, or you formal has. Tiene. Nosotros, we have. Tenemos. All of you have. Vosotros tenéis. And finally, they have, or you formal have. That's tienen. Now, whilst irregular, and you can see that because we've had to add this G, so instead of saying tengo, taking the ER off and adding O, we say tengo. Tienes has this I. We call this a radical changing verb, which we'll see another time. However, the endings, os, e, hemos, es, en, are actually the same as our grid. So it's the stems in irregular verbs in Spanish that tend to be different. Okay, folks, you made it. Well done. Join me next time for Grammar Checkpoint 6 when we're going to continue looking at the present tense. Only next time we're going to focus on irregular verbs. Until then, hasta luego.